The bruise on Sophie Morgan's cheek was covered with 3 layers of concealer, but 7-year-old Tommy Reed could still see it. Kids always could. They noticed things adults pretended not to see. The way she flinched when the kitchen door slammed. The way her hands shook when she poured coffee. The way she kept glancing at the entrance like she was waiting for something terrible to walk through it. Tommy was sitting in booth 6 at Rosie's diner, coloring a picture of a dragon while his dad reviewed case files across the table. It was their Thursday tradition. Dinner at Rosie's, homework help, and maybe ice cream if Tommy finished his math worksheet. But tonight, Tommy wasn't thinking about ice cream. He was thinking about the nice waitress who always gave him extra whipped cream and never once told him to stop asking questions. The waitress who was crying in the corner by the coffee station, trying to hide her face with a menu. Tommy's dad, James Reed, was absorbed in legal documents, his reading glasses perched on his nose. He was a lawyer. The boring kind, Tommy thought, who dealt with contracts and businesses. But Tommy knew something most people didn't. His dad had been someone else before he became a lawyer, someone who knew how to fight, someone who had saved people. Tommy had seen the scars, had heard the nightmares. "Dad?" Tommy whispered, tugging on his father's sleeve. James didn't look up. "The waitress is sad." "That's nice, buddy. Keep coloring." "Dad." Tommy's voice was more insistent. "She's crying, like really crying, and she has a boo-boo on her face." That got James's attention. He looked up, following his son's gaze to where Sophie stood with her back to the dining room, her shoulders shaking. James's expression shifted immediately. From tired lawyer to something else, something alert. "Stay here," James said, but Tommy was already sliding out of the booth. "Tommy!" But his son was walking straight toward the waitress with the fearless determination only a 7-year-old could possess. James sighed and followed. Sophie didn't hear them approach. She was too focused on not breaking down completely. The text message on her phone burned in her pocket. From Derek, her ex-boyfriend who refused to be an ex. "I know where you work. I'm coming for you. You can't hide from me." She'd called the police 3 times, filed 2 restraining orders. None of it mattered. Derek always found a way. And tonight, she could feel it. He was coming. She felt a tiny hand on her arm. Sophie jumped, spinning around to find a little boy with serious brown eyes staring up at her. "Don't cry, miss," Tommy said with absolute conviction. "My dad is coming to save you." The words were so unexpected, so absurdly confident, that Sophie actually laughed through her tears. "What? My dad?" Tommy pointed at the tall man approaching behind him. "He saves people. It's his job. Well, it used to be his job. Now he does boring stuff, but he still remembers how." James reached them, his hand settling on his son's shoulder. "I'm sorry. My son has a habit of adopting strays." His tone was light, but his eyes were sharp, taking in details. The concealer, the way she held herself, the phone clutched in her hand. "It's okay." Sophie tried to smile. "He's sweet." "You're hurt," Tommy said bluntly. "Someone hurt you. Dad can make them stop." "Tommy." James's voice carried a warning, but he didn't deny it. Sophie's carefully constructed composure cracked. "I'm fine, really. Just long day." "No, you're not." James's voice was gentle but firm. "And before you tell me it's none of my business, you're right, it's not. But my son has excellent instincts, and he seems to think you need help. So I'm going to ask you once, and I want you to tell me the truth. Are you in danger?" Sophie opened her mouth to lie, to say everything was fine, to send them away like she'd sent away everyone else who'd tried to help. But something in James's eyes stopped her. They weren't judgmental. They weren't pitying. They were just steady, like he'd seen worse things than whatever she was dealing with and wasn't afraid of any of it. "Yes," she whispered. "Is someone threatening you? Now? Tonight?" She nodded, not trusting her voice. "Okay." James pulled out his phone. "I'm calling the police. You're going to tell them everything." And then the diner's entrance bell chimed. Sophie's face went white. James followed her terrified gaze to the man who'd just walked in. He was big, muscular, with the kind of swagger that came from knowing he could hurt people and get away with it. His eyes locked onto Sophie immediately. "There you are, baby," Derek's voice carried across the diner. "We need to talk." "I don't want to talk to you," Sophie said, her voice shaking. "You need to leave." "Don't be like that." Derek started walking toward them. "We had a fight. Couples fight. You'll forgive me like you always do. I have a restraining order. Piece of paper." Derek smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Doesn't mean anything if you don't enforce it, and we both know you won't. Because you love me." James stepped between them. It was a simple movement, casual even, but suddenly he was a wall between Derek and Sophie. "The lady asked you to leave," James said calmly. Derek looked at him like he was an annoying insect. "Who the hell are you? Her new boyfriend? That was fast, Sophie. Real classy." "I'm the person telling you that you need to walk out of here right now before this gets complicated." "Complicated?" Derek laughed. "Old man, you have no idea who you're messing with. Actually, I have a pretty good idea. You're a coward who gets off on scaring women. You're not used to someone standing up to you, and right now, you're trying to decide if you want to swing at me." James tilted his head slightly. "Here's the thing. If you swing, I will put you down, hard. And then the police will come, and your parole violation for approaching someone with a restraining order will send you back to prison. So you have two choices. Walk out now, or get carried out. Your call." The diner had gone silent. Every customer was watching. Derek's face turned red. "You threatening me?" "No, I'm giving you options. You're threatening yourself." Derek looked past James to Sophie. "This isn't over, bitch." That was the word that did it. James's expression didn't change, but something in his posture shifted, became coiled, dangerous. "Walk away." His voice dropped to something cold and flat, something that made Derek take an involuntary step back. Because that wasn't a lawyer's voice anymore. That was something else, someone else. Derek's instincts, honed from years of prison fights, told him to run. He tried to save face. "Whatever, she's not worth it anyway." He turned and walked out, but not before shooting Sophie a look that promised this wasn't finished. The diner slowly returned to normal. Sophie was shaking so hard she had to lean against the counter. "Thank you," she whispered. "That's not going to be enough," James said. "He'll be back. Men like that always come back." "I know." Her voice broke. "I know he will. But what am I supposed to do? The police can't protect me 24/7. I can't afford to move again. I can't." "You can stay with us." The words came from Tommy, who'd been silent until now. He looked up at his father with complete trust. "Right, Dad. She can stay in the guest room, and you can keep her safe. Like you kept Mom safe." James's jaw tightened at the mention of his late wife. "Tommy, you said you'd always help people who needed it. You said that's what heroes do. She needs help." Out of the mouths of babes. James looked at Sophie, who was staring at them like they were insane. "I can't ask you to do that," Sophie said. "I'm a stranger. You don't owe me anything." "You're right. I don't. But my son is right too. You need protection, and I can provide it." James pulled out his wallet, extracted a business card. "This is my information. If you're serious about wanting help, call me, tonight. Because I don't think you should go home alone. I can't impose." "It's not an imposition. It's the right thing to do." He handed her the card. "Call me, please." Then he took Tommy's hand, and they left, leaving Sophie standing there holding a business card and wondering if she'd just met her guardian angel or if she was losing her mind. She called him 3 hours later. Derek had been waiting outside her apartment. She'd seen him from a block away and run. Now, she was hiding in a 24-hour grocery store, terrified and exhausted. James picked up on the first ring. "Where are you?" 20 minutes later, James's car pulled up outside the grocery store. Sophie climbed in, her hands shaking. Tommy was asleep in the back seat, clutching a stuffed dinosaur. "Thank you," Sophie whispered. "I didn't know who else to call." "You did the right thing." James pulled away from the curb, checking his mirrors constantly. "We're going to my house. You're going to stay there tonight. Tomorrow, we'll figure out next steps." "I can't." "Yes, you can, and you will. Because the alternative is you end up in a hospital or worse." His voice was firm but kind. "I've seen what men like Derek do when they don't get stopped. I won't let that happen to you." Sophie was silent for a long moment. "Who are you? Really? You're not just a lawyer." "No, I'm not. I used to be Army, Special Forces. Did 3 tours before I got injured and had to come home. Met my wife, had Tommy, went to law school. Thought I was done with the fighting." He glanced at her. "Turns out some things you never stop being." They drove to a house in a quiet suburban neighborhood. James carried Tommy inside while Sophie followed, feeling like she was in a dream. The house was warm, lived in. Photos of a beautiful woman who must have been James's wife covered the walls. She'd died 2 years ago. Cancer. Tommy had mentioned it at the diner once, matter-of-factly, the way kids did. "Guest room is upstairs. Second door on the left," James said, settling Tommy into bed. "Bathroom is across the hall. Lock your door if it makes you feel safer. I'll be downstairs if you need anything." "James?" He turned. "Why are you doing this?" "Because someone needs to, and I can. That's reason enough." That night, Sophie slept more soundly than she had in months. Because for the first time in a year, she felt safe. The next morning, James called in favors. A friend in the police department who took Derek's threats seriously. A contact in the DA's office who expedited a more comprehensive restraining order. A security company that installed cameras around Sophie's apartment at no charge because James knew the owner from his military days. "You don't have to do all this," Sophie said, watching him make call after call. "Yes, I do." He didn't elaborate. Over the next week, Sophie stayed in the guest room. She and James fell into an unexpected routine. She'd make breakfast while he got Tommy ready for school. She'd help Tommy with homework while James worked from home. They'd have dinner together, the 3 of them, like a family. Tommy adored her. He taught her his favorite card games, showed her his rock collection, told her stories about his mom with a child's honesty that was both heartbreaking and beautiful. And Sophie found herself falling. Not just for James, though he was everything Derek wasn't. Steady, kind, strong without being cruel, but for this whole life. This feeling of being part of something, of mattering. James felt it too. He found himself looking forward to coming home, to Sophie's smile when he walked in, to the way she laughed at Tommy's jokes, to the quiet moments after Tommy went to bed when they'd sit on the porch and talk about everything and nothing. "I haven't felt like this since Sarah died," James admitted one night. "Like there's light in the house again." "I haven't felt safe in a year," Sophie replied. "Until now." "Sophie, I need to tell you something." He turned to face her. "Derek is escalating. My friend at the PD says he's been asking around, trying to find out where you are, and he's going to figure it out eventually." "I know. When he does, it's going to get dangerous." "I know that too. I won't let him hurt you. I promise you that. But I need you to trust me. Completely. Can you do that?" Sophie looked at this man who'd taken in a stranger, who'd turned his life upside down for someone he barely knew, who made her feel things she'd thought were dead. "Yes," she said. "I trust you." 3 days later, Derek found them. James was pulling into his driveway after picking up Tommy from school when he spotted the unfamiliar car parked across the street. His instincts flared immediately. "Tommy, stay in the car." "But Dad?" "Stay in the car." James's voice left no room for argument. He got out slowly, his body automatically falling into old patterns. Assessing, planning, ready. Derek emerged from his car with a gun. "Where is she?" Derek demanded. "Where's Sophie?" James stepped between Derek and his car where Tommy was. "Put the gun down." Bring her out or I start shooting. There's a 7-year-old child in that car. You really want to do this in front of him? I don't care about your kid. I want Sophie. She's mine. She's not property. She's a person, and she doesn't want to be with you." James's voice was calm, deadly calm. "Last chance. Put the gun down." Derek raised the weapon. "Bring her out." James moved. Years of training took over. He closed the distance between them in 3 strides, deflected the gun away from the car, and had Derek on the ground in under 5 seconds. The gun skidded across the pavement. Neighbors came running. Someone called 911. Police arrived within minutes. Derek was arrested for attempted murder, violation of a restraining order, and illegal possession of a firearm. As they led him away in handcuffs, he screamed threats at Sophie, who'd come running out of the house when she heard the commotion. James held her while she cried. Tommy hugged both of them. "Told you my dad would save you," Tommy said proudly. And for the first time in a year, Sophie laughed. Really laughed. Because she was free. Derek went to prison. 20 years, no parole. The trial was swift because James had witnesses, video from his security cameras, and testimony from a dozen victims Derek had hurt before Sophie. Sophie moved out of the guest room, but not out of the house, because somewhere between protecting her and falling asleep on the couch watching movies with Tommy, she and James had become something more than protector and protected. They'd become a family. 6 months later, James proposed on the porch, where they'd had their first real conversation. Tommy was the ring bearer at their small ceremony. Sarah's parents were there, smiling through tears because they knew she would have loved Sophie. And Sophie Morgan became Sophie Reed. Not because she needed a man to save her, but because she'd found a man who'd stood beside her while she saved herself. Years later, Tommy would tell people his dad was a hero. And when they asked why, he'd say, because when someone needed help, he didn't look away. He stepped in. That's what heroes do. James would just shake his head and say the real hero was a 7-year-old boy who told a crying waitress not to cry. Because that moment of kindness from a child had saved 3 people. Sophie from Derek, James from his loneliness, and Tommy from growing up thinking the world was a place where people didn't help each other. Sometimes being a hero isn't about fighting or strength. Sometimes it's about a little boy with a big heart telling someone, "Don't cry, my dad is coming to save you," and meaning it. The end. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe. Share it with someone who believes in second chances and everyday heroes. Comment below. Would you have helped Sophie? Thanks for watching. But the story didn't end with a wedding. Because real life is messier than fairy tales. And Sophie's freedom came with a price she hadn't expected. 3 months after the wedding, Sophie woke up screaming. James was there instantly, holding her, whispering that she was safe. But the nightmares didn't stop. PTSD, the therapist said. Trauma doesn't disappear just because the threat does. Your brain needs time to understand it's not in danger anymore. Sophie threw herself into therapy, into healing, into being the mother Tommy deserved and the wife James needed. But some days were harder than others. Some days she flinched at loud noises. Some days she couldn't bear to be touched. Some days she stood at the window watching for a car that would never come because Derek was locked away forever. James never pressured her, never made her feel weak. He'd lived through his own trauma, understood that healing wasn't linear. Take your time, he'd say. I'm not going anywhere. Tommy helped more than any therapy could. Kids have a way of pulling you into the present. When you're helping with math homework or building a blanket fort, you can't spiral into past fears. Tommy needed Sophie, and Sophie needed to be needed. She started working again, not at Rosie's Diner, where too many bad memories lived, but at a non-profit that helped domestic violence survivors. She knew what they were going through, could offer more than sympathy. She could offer real understanding. You got out, she'd tell them, And I know it doesn't feel like it now, but you're going to be okay. I promise. She was living proof that escape was possible. That life existed on the other side of fear. One day, 2 years after Derek went to prison, Sophie got a call. It was from Derek's mother. "My son wants to apologize," Mrs. Henderson said. "He's found God in prison. He wants closure. Would you be willing to meet with him? Just once, under supervision." Sophie's first instinct was no, absolutely not. But her therapist suggested it might help, not for Derek's sake, for hers. "You don't owe him anything," Dr. Martinez said, "but sometimes facing the person who hurt us in a safe environment can help us reclaim our power. Only do it if you want to, if it feels right for you." Sophie talked to James. "I don't want you to go," James admitted. "I don't trust him. I don't trust his mother. I don't trust any of it. But it's your choice. And if you decide to do it, I'll be right there with you, every second." She decided to go. The prison visit was arranged for a Wednesday afternoon. Sophie, James, and a mediator from the Victim Services Office sat in a small room with thick glass and armed guards. Derek was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit. He looked different, thinner, older. The swagger was gone. When he saw Sophie, something crumpled in his expression. "Thank you for coming," Derek said. His voice was hoarse. "I didn't think you would." Sophie didn't respond, just waited. "I've had a lot of time to think," Derek continued. "About what I did, about who I was, about the fear I put in you." He paused. "I can't take it back. I can't undo it. But I need you to know I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. Not because I want anything from you. Not because I expect forgiveness. Just because you deserve to hear it." Sophie studied his face, looked for the lies, the manipulation, the signs that this was another game. She found none, just exhaustion and shame. "You almost killed me," Sophie said quietly. "Multiple times. You terrorized me for a year, made me afraid to exist." "I know. Do you? Do you really understand what you did to me? I still wake up screaming. I still check locks 3 times. I still can't watch certain movies or hear certain songs because they remind me of you. You didn't just hurt me physically. You broke something inside me." "I know," Derek whispered, tears streaming down his face. "And I'll carry that for the rest of my life. I'll carry knowing that I destroyed someone who only ever tried to love me. That I was the monster mothers warn their daughters about." Sophie took a breath. "I don't forgive you." Derek nodded, accepting it. "I don't expect you to, but I'm letting you go. I'm letting the fear go. You don't get to live in my head anymore. You don't get to take up space in my life. This is closure. For me, not for you. For me." She stood up. "I hope you find whatever peace you're looking for in here. I really do. Because holding on to hate hurts me more than it hurts you. But we're done. Forever. You don't exist to me anymore." She walked out without looking back. James followed. In the car, Sophie cried. Not from sadness, from relief. "It's over," she said. "Really, truly over." "How do you feel?" James asked. "Free." And she was. The nightmares didn't stop immediately. The triggers didn't disappear, but they lessened. And Sophie's new life slowly became her real life. Not the one she was hiding in, the one she was building. 3 years after the wedding, Sophie and James had a daughter. They named her Sarah, after James's first wife. Tommy had suggested it. Mom would want someone to carry her name, he'd said. And Sophie's going to be a great mom. Mom would be happy. Sarah Elizabeth Reed was born on a sunny June morning. She had Sophie's blonde hair and James's serious eyes. And from the moment Tommy held her in the hospital, he appointed himself her eternal protector. "No boys until you're 30, Tommy told the newborn solemnly. "And even then, they have to get through Dad and me first." Sophie and James laughed, but there were tears mixed in. Because families could be made, not just born. Because second chances were real. Because from darkness and fear could come light and love. When Sarah was 2, Sophie started a foundation. Second Chances, she called it. It provided housing, legal support, and counseling for domestic violence survivors. James donated his legal services. Tommy, now 15, volunteered during summers. "This is what Mom would have wanted," Tommy told Sophie one day while they were organizing donations. Not just surviving, but helping others survive too. Sophie hugged him tight. This tall teenager who'd once been a 7-year-old boy telling a crying waitress that his dad would save her. "You started all this, you know," Sophie said. "What do you mean?" "That day at the diner. If you hadn't noticed I was upset, if you hadn't insisted your dad help, I'd probably be dead." Tommy was quiet for a moment. "Dad says everyone has moments where they choose to look away or look closer. I guess I looked closer. And changed everything." Years passed. Tommy graduated high school, then college, became a social worker, surprising no one. Sarah grew into a fierce little girl who took no nonsense from anyone. Sophie's foundation expanded to 5 cities. James made partner at his firm, using his position to provide pro bono services to abuse survivors. And every Thursday, they still went to a diner. Not Rosie's, that had closed, but a little place called Maggie's that had the same vinyl booths and burnt coffee smell. It was tradition now. Family dinner at a diner, homework help, ice cream after. Some things were sacred. One Thursday evening, when Tommy was home visiting from graduate school and Sarah was doing her homework in the booth, a woman approached their table. She was young, maybe early 20s, with a black eye poorly covered by makeup and hands that shook as she held a menu. Sophie recognized that look immediately. The fear, the desperation, the hope that maybe someone would notice. "Excuse me," the woman said, her voice trembling. "Are you Sophie Reed, from the Second Chances Foundation?" "Yes," Sophie said gently. "What's your name?" "Michelle. I saw you speak last year about getting away from someone dangerous." Her voice dropped. "He's here, my ex. He followed me. He's sitting at the counter right now. And I can't leave because he's blocking the exit, and I'm so scared." "Okay," Sophie interrupted calmly. She looked at James, who was already standing. "James will handle it. Tommy, call 911. Sarah, come sit with me and Michelle." The family moved like a well-oiled machine. James walked to the counter where a man sat glaring at Michelle. Tommy pulled out his phone. Sarah slid next to her mother, small but radiating fierce protectiveness she'd inherited from both parents. "Sir," James said calmly to the man, "I need you to leave. Now." "This is none of your business," the man snarled. "I'm just having coffee." "You're violating a restraining order. The police are on their way. You can leave now on your feet or later in handcuffs. Your choice." The man stood, trying to intimidate James with his size. But James had faced down worse than angry ex-boyfriends. He'd faced war, grief, loss. This was nothing. "You don't know who you're messing with," the man threatened. "Actually, I know exactly. You're a coward who thinks strength means scaring someone weaker than you. I've met 100 men like you, and every single one ended the same way. Arrested or broken. Pick one." The man swung. James blocked it, twisted his arm, and had him face down on the floor before the diner's manager could even grab the phone. Police arrived within minutes. The man was arrested. Michelle was taken to a safe house that Sophie's foundation operated. And the Reed family went back to their booth, their dinner interrupted, but their purpose confirmed. "Does this happen a lot?" Sarah asked, eyes wide. "More than it should," Sophie said. "But that's why we do what we do. So women like Michelle don't have to be afraid. So they know someone will help." "Like Dad helped you," Sarah said. "Like I helped Sophie," Tommy corrected. "I'm the one who noticed." "Okay, hero." James ruffled his son's hair. "We all helped each other." And that was the truth. None of them had saved anyone alone. They'd saved each other. Tommy had noticed. James had protected. Sophie had healed. Sarah had grown. They were a family built from broken pieces that had fused together into something stronger than any of them had been alone. That night, putting Sarah to bed, Sophie sat on the edge of her daughter's mattress. "Mama," Sarah said, "why do you help sad people?" "Because someone helped me once, and it saved my life." "Daddy?" "Daddy and Tommy both. They saw that I needed help, and they didn't look away. They could have. It would have been easier, but they didn't." "I wouldn't look away either," Sarah said firmly. "If I saw someone sad, I'd help them, like you and Daddy." Sophie kissed her daughter's forehead. "I know you would, baby. That's how I know we raised you right." Downstairs, James found Sophie crying on the couch. Happy tears, she explained, overwhelmed by how much her life had changed, how close she'd come to not having any of this. "Sometimes I think about that night," Sophie said, "when I was hiding in the grocery store, when I called you, if you hadn't answered, if you'd told me to handle it myself, But I did answer," James interrupted. "And I'd do it again, 1,000 times over. Every choice I've made since that day has led us here, to this family, to this life. I wouldn't change a single moment. Even the hard parts, especially the hard parts, they made us who we are." He pulled her close. "You're the strongest person I know, Sophie. You survived something that would have broken most people. And you didn't just survive, you thrived. You built something beautiful from the worst experience of your life." "We built it," Sophie corrected. Together, James agreed. 20 years after Tommy told a crying waitress that his dad would save her, the Reed family had grown. Tommy married another social worker. They had twins. Sarah became a lawyer, specializing in domestic violence cases. She was fierce in the courtroom, channeling her mother's survival instinct and her father's protective nature into defending those who couldn't defend themselves. Sophie's foundation had expanded to 30 cities, helped over 10,000 women escape abuse, built safe houses, funded legal battles, provided therapy and job training. Every woman who walked through their doors heard Sophie's story, heard that survival was possible, that life existed on the other side of fear. James retired from law to work full-time at the foundation. Him and Sophie, side by side, building something that mattered more than billable hours or courtroom victories. One autumn evening, the whole family gathered for dinner at James and Sophie's house. Tommy's twins were running around the backyard. Sarah was arguing a case with her father, their favorite form of bonding. Sophie stood at the kitchen window, watching her family, and felt peace settle over her like a warm blanket. Her phone buzzed, a text from Michelle, the young woman they'd helped in the diner all those years ago. She'd moved across the country, gone back to school, become a therapist. Now she ran her own practice helping abuse survivors. "Thank you," the text read, "for everything. I'm engaged. To a good man who treats me like I deserve. I never thought I'd feel safe enough to love again. But because of you, I do." Sophie showed James the text. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "Look what you did," he murmured. "Look at all the lives you've changed." "We changed them," Sophie corrected. "We, you, me, Tommy, Sarah, all of us. Started with one 7-year-old boy who refused to look away from someone crying. Best decision you ever made," Sophie said, "raising him to care about others." "Second best," James turned her to face him. "First was answering your call that night." They kissed, soft and sweet. 20 years of love compressed into one moment. Families came in all forms, born or made, blood or chosen, traditional or unconventional. The Reed family was made, forged from tragedy and built on hope. Started by a little boy who told a scared waitress that his dad would save her, grown into a legacy of second chances and healing. "Don't cry. My dad is coming to save you," Tommy had said. But in the end, they'd all saved each other, and that was better than any fairy tale. The end. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe. Share it with someone who believes in the power of kindness and second chances. Comment, have you ever been someone's hero? Or has someone been yours? Thanks for watching. Remember, Sometimes being a hero is as simple as noticing when someone needs help and refusing to look away. On the 30th anniversary of that first meeting at Rosie's diner, Tommy organized a surprise for his parents. Sophie and James thought they were going to a simple family dinner. Instead, Tommy drove them to a building in downtown they didn't recognize. "What is this?" Sophie asked as they pulled up. "You'll see," Tommy said, grinning. He led them inside to a lobby filled with people, hundreds of people. Women Sophie had helped through the foundation. Children who'd grown up in their safe houses. Lawyers James had mentored. Social workers inspired by Tommy's example. Sarah stood at a podium, microphone in hand. 30 years ago, Sarah began, a 7-year-old boy saw a waitress crying. And instead of looking away like everyone else, he told her something that changed 4 lives forever. "Don't cry. My dad is coming to save you." The crowd murmured, many knowing the story. "That waitress was my mother," Sarah continued. "That boy was my brother, and that dad was my father. Tonight, we celebrate not just their story, but every story that came after. Every woman who found safety, every child who grew up without fear, every family that was rebuilt from broken pieces." She gestured to the building around them. "Welcome to the Tommy Reed Center for Family Services, named after the kid who proved that heroes come in all sizes, who taught us that noticing someone's pain and choosing to help is the most powerful thing any of us can do." Tommy stood next to his parents, now with his own teenage children beside him. "I didn't do anything special," Tommy protested. "You did everything that mattered," Sophie said, tears streaming. "You saw me. When everyone else looked away, you saw me." James wrapped his arms around both of them. 3 generations of their family stood together. Tommy, now a grandfather himself. Sarah, whose own children were being taught the family legacy of helping others. And countless others whose lives had been touched by one small act of kindness that rippled out across decades. An older woman approached them. She was in her 50s, well-dressed, confident. "You don't remember me," she said to Sophie, "but I was at Rosie's diner that night. I was sitting 3 booths away. I saw Derek threaten you, and I did nothing." Her voice broke. "I was too scared. I convinced myself it wasn't my business. I watched you shake and cry, and I looked away." Sophie's breath caught. "I've carried that shame for 30 years, the woman continued. "Wondered if you'd survived, if my cowardice had gotten you killed. And then I saw your foundation, saw what you'd built, and I couldn't stay silent anymore." She pulled out a check. "This is everything I have. My inheritance. $2 million. It's yours. It's my apology for looking away, for choosing comfort over courage." Sophie took the woman's hands. "What's your name?" "Diane." "Diane, you don't owe me anything. You were scared. That's human. But your 7-year-old son wasn't too scared. A child had more courage than I did." "Children don't know to be scared yet," James interjected gently. "They just see someone who needs help. That's not courage. That's innocence. Real courage is what you're doing now, facing your regret and turning it into action." Diane wiped her eyes. "I want to volunteer. At the foundation. I want to be the person who doesn't look away anymore." "Then welcome to the family," Sophie said, hugging her. Because that's what the Reed Foundation had become. A family of people who'd all looked away once and decided never to do it again. The celebration continued late into the night. Stories shared, tears shed, hope renewed, and at the center of it all, a simple truth that had started in a diner booth with a coloring book and a dragon. Kindness matters. Noticing matters. Helping matters. Not grand gestures or heroic rescues, though those have their place, but the small daily choice to see someone's pain and choose compassion over comfort. Tommy's twins, now teenagers themselves, asked their grandfather about that night. "Were you scared?" they asked James. "Terrified," James admitted. "Not of Derek, of failing, of Sophie getting hurt, of my son seeing violence, of making the wrong choice. But you did it anyway. Because sometimes doing the right thing means being scared and doing it anyway. Fear isn't the enemy. apathy is. I was scared, but I cared more than I was scared. That's what mattered. Sophie watched her family, her husband, who'd stood between her and death without hesitation, her stepson, who'd seen her pain when no one else did, her daughter, who'd grown up understanding that power meant protecting, not dominating, her grandchildren being raised with the same values. And she thought about Derek, wondered if he was still alive, still in prison, still carrying the weight of what he'd done. She'd meant what she said at that prison visit. She didn't forgive him, didn't think she ever would. But she didn't hate him anymore either. Hate required energy she'd rather spend on building than destroying. He existed somewhere in her past, a chapter in her story, but not the story itself. The story was this room full of people who'd chosen to help, this family built on kindness, this legacy of second chances. "Thank you," Sophie whispered to Tommy, "for seeing me, for saying something, for being brave when I couldn't be. I just did what you taught me," Tommy said. "What I taught you? You were 7. Mom taught me before she died. Dad taught me after. You taught me by surviving, by building something beautiful from something terrible. I learned from all of you. And that was the greatest gift, not just being saved, but learning how to save others. Not just receiving kindness, but paying it forward. Not just surviving, but thriving. 30 years from a crying waitress to a room full of hope. All because a little boy said 5 words. My dad is coming to save you. But the real magic wasn't in the saving. It was in what came after. The healing, the growing, the family building, the legacy creating. That's what transformed tragedy into triumph. Not rescue alone, but what you built in the space rescue created. Sophie Reed had been saved. And then she'd saved thousands of others. Tommy had noticed pain, and then he'd dedicated his life to easing it. James had protected his family, and then he'd expanded that protection to include anyone who needed it. That was the real story. Not the dramatic confrontation, or the prison sentence, or even the wedding. The real story was 30 years of showing up, of choosing compassion, of refusing to look away, of building something bigger than any one person. Don't cry, Tommy had said. My dad is coming to save you. He'd been right. James had come, had saved her. But in saving her, he'd saved himself too, had given his life purpose beyond grief and loss. And Sophie had saved herself too, had reclaimed her power, had transformed from victim to survivor to thriver. That was the lesson. We save each other, not through grand gestures alone, but through daily choices, through noticing, through caring, through refusing to accept that cruelty is inevitable or that one person can't make a difference. One person can change everything. A 7-year-old boy proved that. Changed his father's life, changed a waitress's life, changed thousands of lives through the ripples of that one choice to speak up. That was the legacy. Not buildings or foundations or awards. The legacy was in every person who chose to notice instead of ignore, to help instead of walk away, to care instead of close their hearts. My dad is coming to save you. 30 years later, the saving never stopped. The end. If this story inspired you, please like and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to hear that help is coming, that they're not alone, that survival is possible. Comment below about a time someone noticed your pain and chose to help, or a time you noticed someone else's pain and chose to be their hero. Because those moments matter. Those choices change the world, one act of kindness at a time. Thank you for watching. And remember, everyone is fighting battles you know nothing about. Be kind, notice, help. You might be someone's miracle today.